ultimately, we are in an exciting time in the criminal world, the criminal law world, and the fact that there's a lot of new DNA technology. For instance, being able to test like the lineage through the mother, lineage through the father, touch DNA, which can be a little iffy sometimes. But think about it. When O.J. Simpson was standing trial for the murder of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, DNA was such a foreign concept to so many people. They thought it was science fiction. They didn't fully understand it. If you also recall, there were a lot of kind of shifty tactics in some ways as far as how the trial was conducted in certain ways. For instance, one of the things as an attorney that I've often learned, and pretty much every attorney will tell you this, if you are trying to prosecute a case, you never, ever, ever, ever hand the opposing party the evidence. Because once you do that, you've lost complete control. And if you're aware, and remember this, if you were watching the O.J. Simpson trial like I was when I was like 13 years old, very glued to the screen. It was very interesting to me. Maybe that's why I became an attorney. I don't know. But what I do recall is I recall that the prosecutor, Chris Darden, actually handed O.J. Simpson the glove that was found. And what we didn't know at the time was that O.J. Simpson had struggled with arthritis in his hands. So it would make his hands swell and all sorts of things, and make it difficult to be able to put the glove in, and that put the hand in the glove. And additionally, these gloves were fitted driving gloves. So if he stopped taking his arthritis medicine, then his hands would be much more swollen. And O.J. Simpson was an actor, Naked Gun, other series, and he knew how to act. He knew how to play it. He was extremely charismatic from the people that knew him before some of the 911 recordings that Nicole Brown Simpson had called begging for help. And ultimately, it ended up that he was able to be, it's not fitting. It's not fitting. And so if you recall, you also remember Johnnie Cochran saying, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. And that's exactly what they did. But, as soon as Mr. Darden handed the glove to O.J. Simpson, it was done. It was over, right? And so that was a not a tiny mistake, a massive mistake, ultimately. And so we look at that. We also look at the ability to extrapolate who the person may be that owns the DNA through genealogy, because genealogy is effectively becoming another branch that can help people determine who killed who harmed certain people, sexual assault, all sorts of things. And then additionally, continuing to re-examine the evidence as time goes forward to stay on top and hopefully get some sort of resolution for the victims' families, because that is extremely important. And then sometimes you think about, sometimes there are witnesses who don't know that they're witnesses until they're tuning into the news or they're tuning into some other documentary or something like that. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, that is the person that I saw. And then they're remembering. Oftentimes, though, especially in very personal, traumatic crimes such as sexual assault and things like that, a lot of the victims initially don't remember everything in a linear fashion, because your memory is not a snapshot of every single thing that happens. It's a reconstruction. So that can be difficult, and that's why sometimes things fit and other things don't fit as well. Additionally, we know that, there's a lot of digital records. Every time you use your debit card, every time you pass a camera at a gas station, any number of things. You go to the bank. I mean, we literally are being surveilled very regularly nowadays. And so digital records don't lie. When you take money out of your account, when you go to the ATM, any number of things that you're doing are being recorded, even when you use self-checkout at Walmart. So just know, right? So the second one, can someone truly vanish without a trace? Ultimately, I think that we know the answer to that. If you guys have watched my true crime channel, Grace and Gavel, where truth meets compassion, you know that I've talked about Patricia Meehan. A lot of you are extremely interested in Patricia Meehan. She disappeared in the 80s. A lot of people have said that they've seen her. She was involved in a car accident in Wyoming, and she seemingly just walked away. The people who had interaction with her, there were actually witnesses in this case, said that she seemed off. She seemed kind of not with it. The next day, she was due to have an appointment with a mental health professional, but she never made it. And she just seemingly walked off and vanished for good. There have been people who've said that they've seen her. However, it hasn't really been corroborated. So that might just be another thing that, I mean, we can't confirm or we can't deny it. But my heart goes out to her family who've been waiting for her for a very long time. Patricia was young, I believe. I think she was like 18 maybe. But we also think about the idea that people can vanish if they want to. Law enforcement is not going to keep someone from vanishing who wants to vanish. Also, the thing is, we don't know if she vanished voluntarily, if she was picked up by someone, if someone, gained her trust and said, hey, I'll take you to the next gas station or whatever, and then ended up doing harm to her. We don't know. And it is literally one of the most haunting mysteries in true crime, and a really sad mystery, especially for her family, for her herself. I would love to think that she's somewhere and happy and healthy and living the life of her dreams, but I'm not so sure. Additionally, financial footprints, because every single time you use your debit card, it is going to show that you withdrew money, that you took money out. Additionally, cell phones keep track of our locations. They ping off towers, all sorts of things. We're constantly being surveilled wherever we go. Traffic lights now, gas stations, Walmart, any number of places you go, people are going to kind of know where you've gone. And ultimately, some of these cases can be voluntary disappearances, maybe essentially complicated by mental illness at some point, complicated by not really being with it, complicated by any number of things, or mental illness. And mental illness is not necessarily a weakness. It's something that people have to deal with, unfortunately. And I don't think that makes them bad people. It just makes them people who are a little wounded, so to speak. And ultimately, investigators prioritize leads. They prioritize leads that are going to answer certain questions. They prioritize leads that can help them get to the next step where they need to be able to hopefully bring that person home or to find out what happened to that person. And I would almost gamble that they likely are still continuing to work that case, even though it's cold, so to speak. So thank you for tuning in to Grace and Gavel, where truth meets compassion. My name is Buffy. I'm an almost 18-year criminal defense attorney. And now we are going to do our RPM live here. Why we apologize for things that aren't our fault. Have you ever apologized just for existing? If you have, then this is for you. Ultimately, people who apologize because they've been either conditioned to apologize, they don't like the drama, the escalation, people being upset with them, so they take responsibility for things that are not theirs, right? So it may not be your fault, but you're still apologizing. Ultimately, over-apologizing, over-explaining are tied together. And generally, they are a trauma response. A trauma response of someone who is afraid of upsetting anyone, afraid of taking up space, afraid of essentially being who they actually are, right? Because maybe when you were growing up, you learned that you were always making people mad. you felt like that. Maybe your parents were difficult on you or hard on you and made you believe that you needed to apologize. And so you then started developing people-pleasing behaviors, doing what people expected you to do, whether or not you felt like it or not, because you didn't want to run against wrath or to be punished or disciplined for not other people wanted you to do. And ultimately, there are a lot of women who over apologize. They over apologize because that's what they know, that's what they do. I myself have struggled with over apologizing, over explaining any number of things. I remember when I was much younger, I would actually answer questions from people that would ask me questions. And I look back now and I'm like, oh my goodness, like that is just so, why? Why did I do that? Because I felt like I owed them an explanation at some point. You don't owe anyone an explanation unless you want to give one. And that is your decision and your choice. And so the other thing I think is really important to deal with is to realize that you need to replace "I'm sorry" with healthier language. If I offended you, I apologize, right? Or, I'm not really sure how to approach this. If you're offended or anything, I just kind of want to know where you're coming from. And if there's something I can do to help ease that and not make you feel bad about what's going on. And that's probably healthier language than continuing to overly apologize. Because I think at some point there can be people who are actually looking for that to be able to try to have an advantage over you, to try to make you feel poorly about yourself, to potentially even, be a predator at some point as far as trying to make you feel bad about yourself, maybe attracting narcissists or something like that. And it's very important that we teach our kids healthy communication, right? Apologize when you do something wrong, sure. But you don't have to continue to apologize and continue to fawn at people to try to make them forgive you, because the person's going to forgive you, they're going to forgive you. If they're not going to forgive you, they're not going to forgive you. And no matter how many times you apologize, no matter how much you do, how much you bend over backwards, it's not going to seal the deal, right? Some people are just going to do what they're going to do, and there's nothing we can do about that. So part 2, the psychology of starting over at any age. Who decided your dreams had an expiration date? Do you have an expiration date on your foot? I don't think so. So ultimately, the best people, if you've listened to the Sunscreen song, you know that the best people don't know at 40 what they want to do, right? That's okay. We all have evolving dreams. We all have things that we want to do. We all have a bucket list. We all have things that light us up and other things that don't light us up. Additionally, reinvention is awesome, right? We're supposed to, in our lives, to continue growing and evolving and building, right? And being who we want to be. Now, running off and joining the circus likely would not be a good option, but anything else, sky's the limit, right? Or you can make a career pivot. Maybe you want to be a real estate agent. Maybe you want to be a car salesman. Maybe you want to learn computers. Any number of things. The sky is the limit. Don't let anyone tell you that you cannot make a career pivot. If that is what you want to do, if that's what is calling you, do it, right? No time like the present. Do it. Research it, determine if it's for you, and keep plugging till you get where you want to go. I'm a big person on encouragement and support. I think it's extremely important to follow your dreams, wholeheartedly, especially if they're, something that you've always wanted to do. Additionally, maybe, your children are currently out of the house and you're looking at an empty nest thinking, okay, well, now I have a lot more time opened up. My kids are in college or my kids are in high school almost, and I'm ready to move forward, right? As well as midlife growth. We need to keep growing and evolving, picking up new skills, living the one life that we've been given, and just explore as much as we can explore. Do things that we've always wanted to do, because there's no time like the present. But don't be afraid of fear of judgment. There's people that are going to judge you. Guess what? They're going to judge you no matter what you do. So you may as well let them talk, right? Okay, that's your opinion. But my opinion, like living my life, is I'm enjoying my life. And I appreciate your thoughts, but it's my life. Think of Billy Joel, guys. It's my life, right? And also just work on building confidence one step at a time. You got this. You got this. Additionally, Just want to say that, the content creation thing, my husband supported me doing podcasts and such, and I appreciate that very much. And I really enjoy it. It makes me happy. It makes me get to talk things out and meet awesome people like you all. And so I just want to say thank you for that. And if you got value from this, please feel free to like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.